Hello, you are most welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Real Impartation Moment on Tuesday Night Anatomy with Daniel Okwan. Today's section, we continue our journey looking at muscles of facial expression. And those are 7 parts. And these are the muscles they are going to work on the pinna of the ear. Therefore, they are the extrinsic muscles of the ear. Now, these are the auricular muscles. Yes, anterior, posterior, and of course, superior auricular muscles. Remember that these muscles, they are not very well developed, yes, in human beings other than in other animals. And therefore, as far as causing movement of the ear is very limited. But one thing you should know about them is that these muscles, yes, mainly, yes, if we look at, for instance, the anterior auricular muscle, it will be supplied by, of course, the temporal branch of what we call the facial nerve. If you look at the posterior auricular, it will be, innervated, but of course, the posterior auricular branch of what we call the facial nerve. Then if you look at the superior, to be supplied by both of these nerves. And so, without much ado, let's set the ball rolling and see what I have for you today. So there we are. Now this is the ear. Now anytime you hear the word concha, then it has to do with the ear. Okay? If you hear auricular, it has to do with the ear. If you hear auditory, it has to do with the ear. So all these terms here relate to the ear. So there we are. Now this muscle. Now remember, all these muscles, roughly, they are triangular shaped, or they are fan shaped. Okay, so this is the anterior, this is the ear. Anterior to it is what we call the anterior auricular muscle. And the anterior auricular muscle is also the smallest of these muscles, very thin, okay, which of course originates from the lateral edge of this fibrous band structure over here, which we call it the gallia aponeurotica, or the epicranial aponeurosis. Okay, that is that band of aponeurosis which connects the anterior and posterior bellies of the occipitofrontalis muscle. So that the lateral edge of what we call the gallia aponeurotica provides that kind of origin to, of course, the anterior auricular muscle. Okay, so that is that one. It will be inserting just before you get to what we call the helix. Okay, there's that kind of projection over here just before you get to the helix of the ear. So that's what you go to and insert. Therefore, upon contraction, you can see it will be pulling the point of insertion towards the origin. Okay, so bringing the ear a bit closer anteriorly. But I told you that these muscles, they are underdeveloped. Okay, they are not very strong, unlike in other animals that we have. This muscle will be supplied by, of course, the temporal branch. Okay, this temporal branch of what we call the facial nerve, cranial nerve 7. Now if I go to the posterior aspect, I'll get to what we call the posterior auricular muscle. Okay, that is the intermediate portion. So there's a second, there's a smaller, followed by, of course, the posterior auricular muscle, the intermediate in terms of size. So it will be originating from where you have what we call the mastoid process of what we call the temporal bone, mastoid process of the temporal bone, okay, and all the way to insert at what we call, so this is the ear. Now ear means concha, so it will be inserting at the cranial aspect, okay, closer to the superior portion aspect of the concha, okay, a bit superior aspect of the concha, so posteriorly over here. So this muscle therefore will be innervated by, of course, the posterior auricular branch of the facial nerve, posterior auricular branch of the facial nerve. So this is what we call the posterior auricular muscle, Now the next muscle, so it means that upon contraction, it will be pulling the point of insertion, closer to the origin. Okay, so it will be retracting the ear, you're pulling it backwards. But I told you these are underdeveloped actually. Therefore, we go to the next muscle, which of course is known as the superior auricular muscle. That's the largest muscle that we have, superior auricular muscle. And by way of origin, it will be originating from somewhere, yes, on the gallia, from the gallia aponeurotica. Okay, that will be somewhere over here, to be originating from that area, and to be inserting on the what we call the upper aspect of the cranial surface of the ear. Okay, so the lower aspect over here, the cranial portion of the ear, or the concha, for the posterior auricular, yeah, the upper portion for what we call the superior auricular muscle, Because of its strategic position, it will be supplied by nerve okay, which will be coming from the branch of the temporal branch of the facial nerve, as well as of course posterior auricular branch of the facial nerve. Okay, and therefore this muscle is a hybrid muscle. Superior auricular muscle is a hybrid muscle, having dual innervation. Okay, but as I said, these muscles are very underdeveloped. Therefore, this one also upon contrast is supposed to cause elevation of the ear. Okay, upward, pull it upwards. Okay. Now, one thing that we have to know is that if you look at something like goats, if you look at sheep, they're able to flare this kind of ear. They are able to move. Look at the dog, able to move their ear because developmentally their auricular muscles are very developed. So I hope you find it helpful. These are the three muscles. They are also muscles of facial expression, because moving your ear, can tell us something about what you think, helping that kind of non-verbal communication. I'm very grateful for your time this evening. Have a good night, all of you, and may God richly bless you.